Hey guys, what's going on? It's RC Knockout and I am back with another video. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Nolan, and in today's video, I have got another upgrade for the Cheapest Traxxas Slash project. Now, if you watched the last video, we tested out the brushless system in this machine for the very first time. I was bashing it, I was jumping off of some ramps, and if you saw that video, you'll know that I broke the rear shock tower. So, let me get this where you guys can see it. Right here. This is not supposed to look like that. As you can see, it broke clean off. That's the upgrade we're doing today, guys. I have got these right here from Atomik RC. It's actually alloy or aluminum rear shock tower. And then I thought I may as well get the matching one for the front. So I got the alloy front shock tower as well, both from Atomik RC. So what I'm going to do today, guys, is I'm going to get this installed. And from there, we'll be able to bash this thing again, take it back out, and test it some more. So let's go ahead and jump right into the install. Alright guys, so to get started with the removal of the broken shock tower, let me go ahead and slide this where you guys are going to be able to see it. It looks like, I haven't read any directions, I'm just going to figure out as I go, but it appears that there's just these 4 screws right here. Those appear to be 2mm screws. Here, here, and up here, and here, holding what's the rest of that shock tower on. Now, first thing I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and unplug these motor wires, which run right through the existing shock tower. Pull those through. The other thing I need to do, you know what, first I'm gonna disconnect this though. So those 2mm that I was talking about. So let me grab my 2mm, and here's my 2mm right here. And I am going to get these loosened up. Alright guys, now once you get those 4 loosened up, looks like we still need to remove the screws that hold the camber links on. So these camber links right here that then connect to the wheel, we got to remove those. Those appear to be 2.5mm. So let me grab my 2.5mm, which I have got right here. Go ahead and get these loosened up. Now we have got the broken piece taken off, and I'm gonna shift the RC so you guys can see. It looks like they're just 2mm holding the shocks onto the shock tower. Grab my 2mm once again and just get these loosened up. Now once we got that loosened up, we got the broken piece off, so the shock tower is removed. That's simple enough. It does look like I will have to remove, it looks like these are 2mm right here. Looks like there's 4 of them. So right here, 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 and here. Those need to come off. Excuse me. Those need to come off so I can actually take the body mount portion off. But I think I'll do that at the end. Right now I'm going to open up the new rear shock tower. Like I said, it's from Atomik RC. It's nice gray aluminum. So here it is. Looks nice. Here's all it comes with right here, guys. So it comes with, looks like 4 spacers, 2 screws, and 2 washers. So we're going to figure out how this actually goes together. So you can see on the existing shock tower, little space right here and here, there's a spacer. I assume they'll go here and here. Let's go ahead and figure out how this actually goes on. It's gonna go down something like this. I'm trying to figure out if it matters though what side goes where. I'm just hoping the holes will match up because they look a little bit off, which is the last thing I need. Alright guys, so it looks like the first thing to get this back together, I'm gonna want to hook these camber links right here onto the shock tower, and there's a bunch of different positions, so it's hard to know how to put them. There's only 2 different, well no, there's just one position. There's 2 different positions on the stock one. I'm probably gonna pick a middle one. Maybe, yeah, I'll probably pick the middle, probably the middle top one? No, middle bottom one, because look at this one, it was screwed into the bottom holes. and looking at the distance, we're going to put them in the bottom hole on the inside on both sides. So here's the 2.5 millimeter that holds this on, and we will need to use a dab of thread lock, guys, because this is going into metal. So let me grab my 2.5 millimeter. I'm going to put this through the pivot ball, and then I'm going to put a dab of thread lock on it, because I don't want to get a bunch of thread lock inside of the pivot ball. So now I'm going to aim for that inside one. Got that tightened on. And now the other one, the exact same thing, 2.5 millimeter. Going to put it through the pivot ball, put a dab of thread lock on, and then screw it into the inner bottom one. Alright guys, got those nice and snug. So now we go on to the next task, which is going to be hooking the shock tower on. So we got the 4 screws that we took out originally. These 2 millimeter screws right here, those need to go back in. So I need to attempt to try to do this, and we don't need any thread lock for this because this just goes into the chassis. Let me grab my 2 mil. The holes look off though. They look fairly significantly off. This is a bit of a tight fit, it looks like, because these screws do not seem to quite line up. That's not lining up at all. I need to drill this out, guys. The fitment's not right on this. I'm going to have to drill out this hole on the shock tower. There's just no way that's going to work otherwise. So I got to drill this hole right here out slightly bigger. Okay, so I drilled these 4 holes in the bottom of the shock tower out a little bit more because these holes were not lining up. And I'm hoping, still going to be a tight squeeze. Jeez. This one lines up a little bit better. Need to get them all tightened down evenly. Alright guys, after quite a bit of fiddling, I finally got that shock tower mounted on. Now what I need to do is, it looks like we have these spacers right here that came with the kit. These are going to go space out the shocks away from the shock tower. So looking at this, the existing one, or the one that came off originally, looks like the holes that we're going to want to put it in are the, looks like the closest one. So looks like it's going to go into, the closest holes on either side. Is this for this? Because those aren't long enough. Alright guys, I had to go off camera for a little bit just to get that right. You can see I finally got them threaded in using a little nut to space it out so the cap does not touch the shock tower, but that is a little bit disappointing. The camber looks like it's out a little bit more than I would like, but when you press down on the suspension, then the wheels look pretty straight, so I don't know. I might just leave it because I don't want to go back in here and mess with getting these undone right here. That looks like a pain. So I think what we're going to do now, guys, is I'm going to get this piece off. So there's 4 screws right here that appear to be 2 mil that hold this body mount onto the existing, or the original shock tower. And we can get all those out. Alright guys, and once you get those 4 2 millimeters loosened, then this looks like it's going to mount on the back, like something like that. Alright guys, once you get those 4 tightened, then it looks like the rear shock tower is then done, which it does take a little bit of work, especially that drilling was a little bit annoying. So we're done with the rear one. So you guys can see how it looks. Looks nice. I just need to feed these wires through, these motor wires. And I'll just feed them through this one, this portion right here. Alright, now I'm going to get the motor wires hooked back up, blue to blue, yellow to yellow, and then white to white. That fits through there nicely. Now I am going to go ahead and move on to the front shock tower. I hope the front shock tower does not take the same amount of modifications this just took on the rear. Let's go ahead and work on the front. I'm going to use my drill to speed up this process. Probably should have done that on the rear as well. Don't know exactly what screws we need to take off. It looks like we're going to have to take off these three right here for sure. And then probably these four down here as well. Maybe these three. Not sure. So let's get started. The two right here and here. That one and that one right there. Those are 2mm. And 2. And now that other one, guys, that next one, that's a 2.5mm, that one that sits right here in the middle. Alright guys, I got those three out. Now it looks like, I think we are going to have to take all of these off. So I think on the bottom we're going to have to take all 6 of these off underneath. So let's go ahead and do that, and all 6 of those are going to be 2.5mm. So now this front bumper portion is off, but let's see. Yeah, it looks like we're still going to have to take off these 3, sorry, underneath. Alright, and once you get that off, it looks like, yep, that'll slide out, and then we can access these 2mm screws. There's one right here and one right here, and that's what's holding the bottom portion of the shock tower on. Can't really see what I'm doing, but I just point out the ones I'm unscrewing. So those 2.2mm, and then it looks like we're probably gonna have to take the upper camber links off. All right, got one of the 2mm off. All right, got the second one, and now this portion right here completely comes off. Still need to remove these 2mm right here that hold the camber links on. So right here, well as right here. Those are 2.5mm, by the way. And there is the second one. And now once those are off, the only thing holding on is these top ones right here that hold the shocks on. And then the front will be loosened, and those are 2mm. And there's 2, and now this is off, and it looks like we're gonna have these 2.5 right here that'll then take the shock tower off, or disconnect the shock tower from the body mount, I should say. But let's get the new one out and see what we're working with. So here's the new one, front alloy shock tower, same gunmetal color. Let's get this opened up and see if the holes are actually gonna line up with this. Whoops. And this comes with some various spacers and a couple screws, just like the other one did. Alright, so nice looking. Let's just try to figure out where everything's going to go. So right here, this is where the camber links went, right here and here. So I just want to line up the holes with this and see where they're all going to go. So it looks like, look at the holes, it looks like it's going to go in the farthest left corner, or the farthest outside corner on either side for the camber links. And then it looks like it's gonna go to the, it looks to be the middle upper. Yep, middle upper right here. It looks like it's gonna go to the middle upper hole. Alright guys, after some searching, these are about the longest ones I could find. Quite a bit longer than the ones that, or these aren't even the ones that were provided. Where are the ones that were provided? Maybe these were the ones provided, but they're significantly longer. I'm hoping they're going to be long enough where we can use the spacers. I actually might have been putting it together wrong. So these might have actually gone in the back side. This 2.5 are right here that holds the camber link on. I had mounted on the front of the shock tower, and it very well might have gone on the back. I don't know, but either way, I switched it to the back, so then that put plenty of space between the shock spring, and the alignment still seems to be straight. The camber still seems to be pretty decent, but I did still have to space out these shocks because the shock cap otherwise will not clear the shock tower. So I found 3 washers and a nut to put on, and then I put them in, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it's set up pretty well now. I'm liking the way that it looks, but yeah, that did definitely take some, because the screws, and these are screws I found also, because these were too long. I didn't want to use these because these were slightly too long. This is what came with the kit, with the shock towers. Alright guys, I totally forgot something. I had to do a little bit more fiddling to figure out how to put this on because I totally forgot to put the body mount back on. And it just so happens to go through the holes that my screws were going through, meaning that I needed to use the longer stainless screws once again. I still kept the 3 washers and the nut on both sides, but then, like I said, I had to put a washer on either side to hold this on. Definitely kind of a do-it-yourself thing. You got to figure it out on your own. Some of the parts aren't there, so would I recommend buying these? Probably not. There's issues with the back one, having to drill. The front one didn't have the right supplied screws or the right supplied stuff, so I had to find my own stuff, so that's a little bit annoying. Alright guys, I was actually going to take the TQI radio out of my Traxxas 1/16 Revo because I did have a TQI transmitter sitting around. This is from the one that I pulled out of my my Behemoth X-Max, but I didn't think it worked. I thought that this receiver was broken, but I hooked it up to this and it worked. So I didn't have to use the one out of my 1/16 Revo. I was able to use this receiver. It was not bad, and I just had to go and reverse the steering. And now I'm going to get it plugged in because the main reason I did this isn't even actually for the TSM. I'm just so sick and tired of sticking this antenna through the top of the body every single time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up, I'm going to get this TQ one out. I'm going to rub that down with some alcohol, get a double-sided tape, put that in there, and then I'm going to cut this down much shorter, and then this will basically be completely converted over to a VXL 2-wheel drive Slash. Guys, now that I have the TSM receiver hooked up and I shortened this antenna a lot, this cap piece wouldn't stay on very well, so I actually had to use a bit of hot glue to hold that cap piece on because I don't want that coming out, because that's the only thing that keeps water really from getting down in the antenna, which you don't want. Alright guys, in the end I did have to actually swap this TQI one back out because the issue I was having was it would bind with my transmitter, but it would only have power like 50%, if even, in forward, and then it would have full power in reverse. And I recalibrated the ESC, I rebound the transmitter multiple times, I messed with basically everything I could. What would happen is when I tried to recalibrate the ESC, when it blinks once for red, you're supposed to pull the trigger to full throttle. And then once it blinks twice red, you're supposed to go full reverse. It never went to red twice. It just went. The steering actually just started fidgeting. So there's something up with this receiver, unfortunately. So in the end, I did actually take the one out of my Traxxas Revo, the 1/16 scale, swap that in with its controller, and then I swapped the TQ one that came with this brush slash into my 1/16 Revo. But now this has full forward and full reverse, and steering and everything's good. So took a little bit more time. Anyhow guys, if you liked the video, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so then you'll be notified whenever I come out with new videos. Because you're going to want to stay tuned because I am obviously going to have more videos with this machine. So I will see you guys in another video. Later.